Kalai Vanakkam. Brother Justice Bhushan Gavai, Justice Surya Kant, Justice M M Sundresh, Justice K V Viswanathan, and Justice R Mahadevan, Honorable Judges of the Supreme Court of India, Justice D Krishna Kumar, Honorable Acting Chief Justice of the Madras High Court, Justice R Suresh Kumar, Justice S Sundar, Justice R Subramanian, and all the Honorable Judges of the Madras High Court, Mr. P S Raman, the Distinguished Advocate General of Tamil Nadu, Mr. A R Sundaresan, the Learned Additional Solicitor General of India, members of the District Judiciary, the Bar, the Registry, and all of you present here this morning. Yesterday day before yesterday when we concluded the swearing-in ceremony of Brother Justice Mahadevan as a Judge of the Supreme Court, we had a large contingent of lawyers who had come from Tamil Nadu. So I walked up to them over the coffee in the lounge, in the judge's lounge, and I apologized to them. So they were a little taken aback because on a happy occasion like this, when you are celebrating the appointment of a judge of the Supreme Court, why is the Chief Justice of India apologizing to us? So I said, I apologize to you for having stolen one of your finest judges to the Supreme Court. But you know, the lawyers are always one step ahead of the judges. And they said to me, Chief Justice, if you have to apologize, then you have to apologize twice, because you have to apologize for Justice Sundaresh's appointment because you have stolen him from us. But then I thought, they had forgotten one more, and that was my dear colleague, Brother Viswanathan, Vishy to all of us, because we stole him. But there is a sting in the tail, and which is that the bar of limitation applies after 1 year on the bench. In this case, of course, Brother Mahadevan was appointed and sworn in on the 18th of July 2024, Justice Viswanathan on the 19th of May 2023, and Brother Sundaresh on 31st of August 2021. So in a sense, our apologies for having stolen two fine judges, one from the bar and one from the bench, is time barred insofar as Justice Viswanathan and Justice Sundaresh are concerned. As everybody knows, I am an ardent believer of the benefits of technology. Just yesterday, we saw the adverse effects of technological dependence because of the Microsoft outage, and flights all over the country were cancelled. Numerous flights from Delhi were cancelled. But I think it is a love that the people of Madurai showered upon me during my last trip that has ensured my presence amongst all of you today. As I recall my trip to Madurai last year, I am reminded of the first 3 verses of the Atichudi, written by the great Tamil poetess Avayar. And she says, pardon a little bit of my Marathi accent in Tamil when I speak in Tamil. And she says, Aram Seya Virumbi, Aruvadu Sinam, Eyalavadu Karavel. Have the desire to do good deeds. Anger should be reduced or controlled, and help to your best possible extent. What this famous Tamil poetess said is so symbolizing the quest for justice. The first thought that she expressed brings a sense of justice, have the desire to do good deeds. The second, when she tells us to control our anger, brings about a sense of emotional equanimity, which is so important to the dispensation of justice. And the third, help to your best possible extent, highlights the need for empathy and for compassion, without which our profession cannot exist. I'm thankful to all the wonderful people I got the opportunity to interact with during my last trip here. They truly lived up to the verses and introduced me to the goodness of Tamil culture. Madurai is called Tunga Nagaram, or the city that never sleeps, because its markets are always available to cater to the throngs of people visiting it every single day. The city truly has a lot to offer to everyone, from a temple town for devotees to find solace in, to a city that never sleeps for people with an active nightlife. This reflects the inviting and hospitable culture of this great city. It is therefore no surprise that Madurai was selected to be the venue for the permanent bench of the Madras High Court. And in that sense, Madurai is an eternal symbol that justice itself never sleeps, and we demonstrated it during COVID. The tale of the Madras High Court is like that of a banyan tree. The older the banyan tree gets, the more its branches develop prop roots, and each of these prop roots is an entry into a fascinating chapter of history and legal development. A beautiful book was presented to me last evening containing the translations in English of the Naladiyar. And while reading it last night, I found this beautiful allegory from Tirukural, written in the 9th century by Jain monks. And he says that, couplet says, the quatrain states, a tiny banyan seed grows all around, provided and provides shadow massively, and as such, even though small a gift if given to great men, would grow widespread, even wider than the sky. Article 214 of the Constitution stipulates that there shall be a high court for each state. However, one would be highly mistaken if they believed that the impact of the judgments coming out of the Madras High Court, and in particular the Madurai Bench, is restricted to the state of Tamil Nadu. Lawyers, judges and citizens across the country look at the judgments emanating out of the Madurai Bench of the Madras High Court with great appreciation. It is remarkable that the bar, as well as the judges of the High Court bench, have been able to establish such a reputation in a short span of only 20 years. When I became a judge of the High Court, it was a completely different universe. I was so used to arguing my cases and forgetting about the cases after judgment was reserved or the order was passed. I gradually got used to being a judge of the High Court. When I became Chief Justice of the Allahabad High Court, it was a completely different universe, where you had to look after the affairs of the judiciary in the largest state in the country. When I came to the Supreme Court, it became a completely new experience. The rhythm, the music of the work of the Supreme Court is so distinct that even an experienced judge, I was 16 years into judgeship when I went to the Supreme Court, even a judge with 16 years of experience in the High Courts finds it difficult to understand and truly fathom the nature of the work of the Supreme Court, because you deal with problems from across the nation. The reason I thought I should mention this is that when the Madurai bench was established, it was essentially a district bar. And the challenges before the district bar were numerous, because from being lawyers practicing before the district court, your orientation had to shift from the problems of the district to the problems of the state, to the culture and identity of Tamil Nadu, as opposed to the identity or culture of Madurai itself. Setting up a bench of the High Court is not just about setting up buildings or setting up infrastructure or creating courtrooms or furnishing those courtrooms, though they are essential appendages to judicial work. The crucial part is about setting up conventions, about setting up traditions, which will endure for the future. And I dare say that in the last 20 years, the Madurai bench has made that transition into truly being a representative of the great traditions of the Madras High Court. Increasingly, young lawyers from the Madurai bench have expressed and have demonstrated their ability to don office as judges of the High Court. So the development of the bar in Madurai and the increasing stake that lawyers from Madurai have in assuming judicial office in the higher echelons of the judiciary in the state truly reflects that transition of what was essentially a district bar into a bar which represents the voice not just of the state of Tamil Nadu, but the voice of the bar across India. The Madras High Court was one of the first high courts established under the rule of the East India Company. It was to have jurisdiction over Fort St. George, inhabited primarily by white traders, and company men, and the city of Madras Patam, inhabited primarily by what we were then called as the natives. This High Court has witnessed many crucial events throughout our national history. However, its origin as a presidency town, High Court, ensured that the location was convenient to the traders of the East India Company and not the people of the erstwhile Madras province or the present-day Tamil Nadu. After India achieved her independence and the states were constituted in their present state, the High Court of Judicature at Madras continued to ably administer justice and gifted India with some of its most prominent and erudite lawyers and judges, some of whom I have the privilege of sharing the stage with today, and many of whom are part of the audience from the bar today. Nevertheless, the location of the High Court in the far north of the state of Tamil Nadu made it inaccessible to a large part of the state. After mooting the idea of a permanent bench of the High Court to cater to the districts in the southern part of the state, a land was finally allocated for the construction of the Madurai bench. A presidential order was issued by President Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam in July 2004, and the bench was ultimately inaugurated on 24th of July 2004. It is with immense pride and honor that I stand before you today to celebrate the 20th anniversary of the inauguration of the Madurai bench of the Madras High Court. It is a day to celebrate the unwavering commitment to the cause of justice, a testament to the visionaries who conceived the institution, and a recognition of the countless individuals who have contributed to its growth and success. As we reflect upon this journey of the Madurai bench, it is imperative to acknowledge the foresight and the wisdom of those who envisioned a bench outside the principal seat at Chennai. Since I have taken over as the Chief Justice of India, I have focused on the issue of accessibility of courts and making them citizen-centric. One of the facets of accessibility is overcoming language and distance barriers between the citizens and the courts. Key initiatives have been taken to address both these facets, like the translation of cases in regional languages and developing the infrastructure of e-courts and virtual hearings. Benches of the High Court, like the Madurai bench, seeded this very idea of bringing justice as close to the doorsteps of the citizens as possible. What better way for us as judges of the Supreme Court to reach out to every corner of the state of Tamil Nadu than by insisting that our judgment should be translated into Tamil. Nearly 2,000 judgments of the Supreme Court are translated into Tamil. And I do believe that this translation is not merely for us to reach out to citizens who are residing in this state in respect of cases decided by us pertaining to the state of Tamil Nadu, but that our work across the nation should be brought home in every regional language which is recognized by the Constitution. And I do hope that access to the judgments of the Supreme Court in Tamil will enable us as judges of the Supreme Court to reach out to lawyers across the state, to enable us to reach out to citizens across the state, to remind them that we exist for you and you primarily. It is said that we hold this earth not as an inheritance from our ancestors, but in debt for our future generations. I've always believed that when it comes to the role of courts, it is not only the hope of the butcher, the baker, and the candlestick maker, but is also a repository of history for our future generations to adjudge us. Our time on earth may be borrowed, but our deeds are immortal. I call our courts a repository of history because the cases that come before a court reflect the social milieu and the contemporary issues that face society. They also reflect how judges react to these issues. A court is remembered well for upholding the rule of law and ensuring that the arc of the universe keeps bending towards justice. The Madurai bench has not simply dispensed justice. It has been a catalyst for positive social change. The Madurai bench has made great strides by recognizing the rights of transgender people to marry. It has also covered a grey area in the law by extending women-centric laws and the Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Prevention, Prohibition and Redressal Act of 2013 to afford protection to transgender and intersex women. The Madurai bench of the Madras High Court has also addressed the region's unique environmental concerns and human rights issues. This success story is a testament to the collective efforts of the judiciary, the bar, and the dedicated support staff. The learned judges who have graced this bench with their wisdom and dedication enriched the legal landscape. The legal fraternity, with its advocacy and cooperation, has been instrumental in ensuring that justice prevails. The Madurai bench has also ensured transparency and accountability in its functioning. This bench has been at the forefront of judicial reform, embracing technology and streamlining process to expedite the dispensation of justice. Courts are one of the biggest guzzlers of paper. I remember dealing with a case before the Supreme Court and increasing access to courts through virtual hearings and e-filings. We sought the details of virtual hearings conducted and the procedure required to avail the facility from all high courts and tribunals across India. I was delighted to see that while other affidavits sought to justify the lack of accessible hearings, the Madras High Court and the Madurai bench have diligently allowed for such hearings to be made available to all since April 2023. The Madurai bench has endeavored to reduce pendency, minimize delays, and ensure that every litigant, irrespective of their social or economic status, receives a fair hearing. As we inaugurate the Vigentennial Stupa to commemorate 20 years, we also contribute to the streak of development of this High Court. We are also committing to establish around 100 new e-Seva Kendras in the southern and northern districts of Tamil Nadu. These initiatives will allow the court to work more effectively and accessibly. Just like how the working of the court leaves an indelible mark on the way it is remembered in history, the infrastructure of a court dictates the ability of the bar, the bench, and the court staff to contribute to their duties and the common good. It has long been established that the architecture, facilities, and navigation tools available in the premises of the High Court directly impact the ability of the employees to provide citizen-centric services. If a building is unappealing, difficult to navigate, and ridden with unnecessary barriers, it will reflect in the treatment and thinking of the staff towards the citizens. But if the courts work in an accessible, inviting, and citizen-friendly architecture, it will enhance the faith and trust of the citizens in the judiciary. I remember coming to the Madurai bench for the foundation stone laying ceremony of the administrative block. The various facilities here, such as the library, ICT, that is Information and Communications Technology, and Internet infrastructure, chambers, mediation center, and the green cover around the High Court complex are breathtaking. The modern infrastructure, including state-of-the-art technology, ensures that we are at the forefront of judicial innovation. The facilities for litigants, witnesses, and the public have been designed with their comfort and convenience in mind. The Madurai bench of the High Court is no stranger to leading the way when it comes to social change. It has the distinction of being the first High Court campus in the South to install a justice clock. The justice clock is a reminder that every minute that a judge sits away from the bench is a minute when a case is added to the backlog. The justice clock is a reminder that every minute when a lawyer asks for an adjournment, it adds to the pendency of cases before the court. The justice clock allows litigants and the court to track case pendency and strategize case management and disposal. This year, we also saw the remarkable feat of the inauguration of the Disaster Recovery Centre of the High Court of Delhi at the Madurai bench for regular backup of data and software of the High Court of Delhi. The Delhi High Court is depending upon the Madurai bench for the disaster recovery of its data. This will ensure the continuous availability and security of data against potential disruptions or data loss. So the next time a lawyer from Delhi engages in a friendly competition about the development of the bar in Delhi and the Madras High Court, you can say that even Delhi looks at Madurai when it gets into trouble. While looking at our growth and reflecting on our achievements, I would like to re-agitate an issue facing our legal fraternity. This is the remuneration which is paid to lawyers at the entry level by their seniors. At a personal level, I believe that senior members of the bar must promote talent and help junior lawyers by giving them a dignified amount to sustain themselves as well. But at a systemic level, I believe that the low amounts ranging from rupees 5,000 onwards per month lead to gatekeeping of our profession. The usual defense by recruiting chambers or lawyers for such low pay is that the first few years of a young associate's character or career is a learning stage where the senior mentors them. Please shed away this paternalistic approach. It is only apt that I quote a Tirukkural. And the Tirukkural is as follows. Thalatri Thanda Porulelam Thakarakku Velanamai Seyathar Poruttu, which means that all the wealth that the good men of this world accumulate must be distributed to deserving people around them. I think all of us seniors must shed the idea that youngsters who come to us come to learn. Well, of course they come to learn, but they also come to teach us. Every day that I interact with my own law clerks, and one of my very distinguished law clerks, she's a young lawyer from Madurai, every day that I interact with my law clerks, I learn so much more, I believe, from them than I can share with them. Because the day-to-day and the future truly belongs to the young in our society. And it is to the young, as we look to the young in our families to teach us so much that we know or know not about life, it is to the young in the legal profession that we turn to understand the contemporary realities of our times. The idea underlying the underpayment of young lawyers in the name of exposure and mentorship reminds me of a 19th century American author by the name of Horatio Alger. The unique selling point of this novel was the premise of a poor boy who would rise to success through sheer hard work. His frequent and repetitive use of the same storyline led to the phrase, the Horatio Alger myth. It is the idea that anyone can rise above their circumstances to achieve success through sheer hard work and sound ethic. But this is hardly ever true. Hard work and sound ethics are vital to every person's growth. But to brush aside the systemic social and economic barriers is an unnecessary oversimplification of how success is achieved. Not all those who fail to do so only because of personal moral failures. Some are failed by their inability to draw from their family wealth in their initial years of practice. This over-romanticization of hard work, especially work without sufficient pay, is not merely rhetorical. It leads to people being expected to work for long hours with less sleep and for lesser monetary value. As the famous saying goes, it takes a village to raise a child. Similarly, it takes the entire bar to raise competent lawyers unfettered by their social or economic background. And I think the true merit of the history of the Madurai bench is not just about dispensing justice to this region, but about allowing lawyers from marginalized segments of society to prosper and to share in the success story of Tamil Nadu. And I do believe that the true worth of the work which has been done over the last 20 years by the Madurai bench lies precisely in this, that it has allowed the democratization of the legal profession. Therefore, I hope that the erudite and scholarly influence which the Madras High Court has had over the Indian legal landscape also propels it to lead the way in enhancing the dignity and monetary remuneration provided to young lawyers at the bar. Today's youngsters are sharp, hardworking, and hungry for work. Interact with them about their approach towards the law. You will be spellbound by the fresh approach that they bring to the table. All I ask of you is to trust the youngsters at the bar with work and fairly compensate them for their hard work and long hours. Finally, before I conclude, let me say that the Madurai bench may have got the bench of the High Court just 20 years ago. But as Brother Sundresh, very fondly called by me as Sundar, as Brother Sundresh said, the first woman lawyer of the world, at least in mythology and Tamil literature, hailed from Madurai 1,500 years ago, 1,500 years ago. It was here in Madurai that Kannagi, the heroine of the great Tamil epic Sillappatikaram, argued her own case before a mighty king and won the case and made the Pandya king lose his life on the very throne from which he delivered a wrong judgment. Madurai has not merely been a center for Tamil Sangam and the birthplace of Tamil Sangam literature, but also the seat of gender justice. It is in Madurai that a lady named Goddess Meenakshi rules the kingdom for 4 months and thereafter transfers power to her husband, Lord Sundareshwara. When we were not able to enforce 33.33% reservation for women in the political sphere in the 21st century, Madurai showed the way for women retaining political power for 1/3 of a year and then transferring power to the king for the remainder of the year. I would say that Madurai is a place where constitutional morality was naturally ingrained in the people. It was here that Jainism flourished during the 2nd to the 4th centuries, along with Saivism, Vaishnavism, and Kaumaran, showing thereby that the people were naturally secular. As we celebrate 2 decades of progress, let us also recommit ourselves to the ideals that have guided us thus far. Let us uphold the highest standards of integrity, impartiality, and fairness. For the young lawyers, I will only say that every corner of your work as lawyers will provide a temptation for you. A temptation to swerve away from the path of integrity, truth, and justice. The breach of integrity, the breach of truth, and the breach in the cause of justice does not take place in very large moments of injustice, but in smaller moments which confront you every moment of your lives. Let us strive to be a beacon of hope for the people of this region. Let us work tirelessly to ensure that justice prevails. I express my heartfelt gratitude to all the judges, all the lawyers, the entire court staff for nurturing this bench of the Madras High Court over the years. God bless. Thank you very much. Namaskar.